This is how you remake an airplane. And in returns, how you remake something you're calling a remake. I'm looking at you, Lightning Thief.
Ha.
I'm looking at you because you butchered key points in the... Okay, we did the discussion off camera. I'm continuing it. But, you all may be noticing that the Grumman Goose here looks incredibly HD, incredibly floating better, but floating better, sitting better, and all around looking better. Well, if you don't know what this is by now, either you don't visit YouTube a lot or you've been living under a rock, because this is the OzX. I believe it's OzX. Yeah, that always on batteries. That always on battery is definitely enabled in the CFG, by the way. OzX. I believe it's Oz, like OZX. That's what
AUSSIEX.
No, the logo.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, the logo. I think the logo is how you pronounce it or something. I don't know. But it's I believe it's Australian. Yeah, I think it's Australian. What I'm saying.
Australian X.
Oh god. Don't even get me started on the Team Fortress Parallels. But they remade this airplane, saying that there was some very notable issues in the default Goose, which I honestly never noticed. Though, back when I flew the Goose, I was benign to the fact of how real airplanes handled, having not landed a real airplane yet at that time. But the this version of the Goose is how you remake a default FS aircraft, and I believe it updates the default one and replaces it, and granted the cockpit's the same and model's the same, but they pretty much retextured it and did their best to make it HD. I mean, there's a modification you can make to your flight sim to make it even more HD, changing the max res, but we're gonna take this little planet for a flight and see what they've changed. Obviously, as you can see now, they've added a very good smoke effect. I have forgotten to turn on the sim real quick. I have forgotten to place in the Widgeon sounds, the other Grumman engines that, well, not the other Grumman engines, I should say, the other engines that were supposed to be similar to this Goose, because the default engines sound a bit one note and there's sound cone issues. Like, have you ever flown the Goose, Jackson, and suddenly your sound sounds like it's full throttle when you're idling?
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah, that's a sound cone issue. And it's still, because they're using the default CFG, it's still here. Though I love how we're clearly floating on the water outside, but because the cockpit visual model can't properly handle the float in the water on the inside the cockpit, it doesn't look like that. Also, we are at San Juan. Yes, the airport's name is San Juan. Very unimaginative name.
Wait. You have to specify San Juan, Puerto Rico, because there's a San Juan in Argentina. Apparently.
And another note, along with the fact we're in San Juan, Puerto Rico, or San Juan, Puerto Rico. Yes, the airport's name is San Juan. I'm not kidding. Look at it for yourself. Is the frame rate tanking because of this effect, but it's a new float effect, like it's an actual wave coming off the aircraft, which it's a nice feature. It definitely gives the airplane a more of a it's an actual float plane feel than the default texture effect you get off FS. I mean, it definitely looks a lot better. Something that, you know, I like about it. Alright, we're gonna pull in our floats. The engines do sound weird. Like, they went something. And Jackson will go on record saying this scenery, this is the Latin VFR, I believe I said that, is is it one for one, Jackson, or is there definite stuff missing that they definitely shouldn't have missed?
I don't know. I mean, there's a few things. Well, most things are where they're supposed to be, or where they, where I suppose that they're supposed to be. Because most of the buildings in the commercial area are very accurate. A lot of the billboards too, and the roads next to the airports also have the current hotels and businesses that it currently has. It also has the other older airport, TJIG,
Yeah, which just looks
which
better.
yeah, which was also modified in there, and also old San Juan was added in there. It's not the best scenery for it, but I couldn't really find any better for it.
Old San Juan, you mean T-Jig or the...
No, old San Juan is a city. It's
Oh,
like
okay.
there's San Juan and there's old San Juan.
Is old San Juan that amount of buildings over there off to the side?
It's an island.
Oh, that island, yeah, I know what you're talking about then. It's right over by the fort.
Yeah, it's no, the fort is on the island.
That's what I'm saying, that's the island.
Yeah.
But they've actually done TJSJ over here as well, a good Great Justice, Taxiway Bridge and all. Though I really get mad at the ATC, they never put me over the bridge. Love taxiing over bridges and flight sim. But there is, I don't know if it's the version we possess or what issue. Watch out with the bridge. If your wheelbase is bigger than that taxiway almost, yeah, don't be taxiing on that. You will fall. Will they fall right through it? Because if the nose wheel's in the middle,
I don't know.
depends on what the FS coding wishes to do with you. And you'll notice when we get close here, there'll be some JetBlue AI, which that's IceAI. Supposedly IceAI. I say supposedly because it behaves like World of AI, and it's a whole bunch of models that look extremely similar to World of AI. According to Jackson, the bridge is accurate and everything, and he stayed over here recently. And you know what he does? Instead of telling me and showing me on a map where he actually was, the jet landing, he actually goes in the flight sim with his Starliner, puts it right in front of the hotel on the runway, and takes a picture and is like, "There's where I was." He's able to do that now. It's like I'm gonna get a ton of pictures. Like it's like, Ace, I went to here today. And Starliner will be flying over the mall or something.
It's the orange one.
There's a lot of orange.
There's an orange one next to runway 8.
Oh, I see it. Yeah. Isn't that like a La Quinta?
No, it's a Marriott.
And yeah, in the Latin VFR photos when we found this, it showed JetBlues, which I thought were just an AI add-on, and apparently they're the IceAI or something, because look at it, JetBlue parked in the JetBlue terminal, and nobody else parks here. It looks so proper.
It is proper.
It looks it actually, I like that detail. It's like there's some
and American Airlines should be opposite to that. You know that how that terminal is next to runway 10. Well, the American Airlines part is next to runway 8.
Yeah, I think it is actually.
Yeah, it is.
And there's a big hangar we seem to not be able to figure out. We think is a huge aircraft collection because it's super huge. Like it's big enough to fit the Starliner, and the Starliner's got the wingspan of a 7.4 or close to it. And we tried to narrow down a lot of the planes. Like we think it was like like maybe a tanker that was there that comes in there to be serviced, but we're not sure. Yeah, there's an AA ad right here on the side. I just flew over to it. There's an AA ad. And there's no American Airlines jets though. It's I think daytime. I don't know what time of the day it is because I moved locations.
There's about 3 that spend the night here and take off in midday.
I believe, if I remember rightly, all the parking ramp there in the JetBlue terminal is solid, or was that... I'm forgetting.
Wait, what?
I'm forgetting if the roadway around the JetBlue terminal, the car roadway, was solid or not. I'm forgetting. Enough with the AI jets. We'll try to move away from there because they're a bit loud. But according to Jackson, this airfield is 1 for 1. Like he's just said, this airfield is exact. Like that rad dome's actually there. And this is actually what we're flying over right now is the military ramp parking.
That's the one part I forgot to take pictures of. The radomes.
Oh yeah. And right over here, actually, what my camera's panned at right now, I believe it's right where the caravans like to park, is the giant terminal. We don't, or not terminal, building. We don't know what it is. All I know is I saw Jackson put a Starliner right on in there. Tails and everything fit. It's as big as a Starliner, so we're just suspicious of what it is.
There's actually even more room, wider and
It's
on the
wider.
back, too.
Yeah, it's not as long, but it's wide enough. Well, it's long enough, but you know what I mean. The length is weird with it. Oh, come on, frame rate, do better. You were doing fine before. Go outside the airplane, it looks good. That looks like slums right there. I'm not saying that's actual slums by the airfield off of 10. Just, they look like the way the shacks are.
No, those are suburbs.
Oh. Weird type of suburb, but okay.
Yeah, the roofs are like...
Flat top.
No.
In Sim they are.
The orange roof ones.
No, I'm talking about the flat top buildings that are off runway 10 on the side.
No, those are comfortable.
Where are they? Like those flat tops. What are they? I didn't hear you.
Business.
Oh, yeah, that's what I assumed they were because of the way the buildings are shaped. Oh, there's a JetBlue getting ready to take off. And the IceAI, I will warn you guys, if you want to pick it up, it's a 16 gig file when it installs. It's a lot of airplanes. Your flight sim's going to take a while to load if you got a lower end computer. It's not exactly the best thing in the world. But if you want like pretty much what's the equivalent of all the World of AI packages at once and want to see accurate planes and accurate places, go right ahead. I've gone to like Punta Gorda and flight sim and I've flown there in real life. I've soloed at airfield. But it's got Allegiant Air parking on one of the ramps like it does in real life. You actually do park there. They actually park there. And there's great scenery for it. I mean, this goose here, this plane's oh, is the always on battery not? Okay, I'm confused. Oh, the avionics were off. Okay. I think the generator switches are off, but it's a good airplane. Like, if you guys someone's been looking for like a brand new version of the Goose that looks better and flies better, if you're a rivet counter, you may not be satisfied. It flies better. It's not like a super sports car. I mean, it's slow to turn. I mean, I've set my yoke to be a bit slower because I want more weight in my airplanes, but if you're looking for something that's kind of better than the Fortavia B29 in a way, because the starters aren't screwed up, but it's definitely a good piece of freeware to pick up if you want something that's amphibious to fly, because heaven knows there's a hard-pressed community out there looking for these things, I think. But there's not a lot of amphibious for FS that's good. I mean, you got your hit and miss stuff that's really, really decent. But then every once in a while you'll hit those ones that you get more of a performance hit than you do an actual fun to fly airplane. Like, I don't know what it was I fixed on that Canada Air. I think it was an FS panel fix that fixed it, but the Canada Air CL215 is a very nice amphibian, but it used to be the most laggiest thing in the world for me. I think, like, I don't know what it was, but originally before my 48, I had to go on my 4850 graphics card, which I'm back on my 6870. Happy to say that, but it, for some reason, was laggy, and now when I last flew it, it was fine. Like, there's no lag in the airplane, and it's another good airplane too. Heck, they actually did a clever trick for drop tanks, or, you know, droppable water. It's actually fuel tanks, which if you fill them just right, you won't be overweight, and they're actually good ferry tanks, like they're pre-built ferry tanks. And they actually work pretty well. They're pretty fun to use because they're built-in ferry tanks. And as we bring this in on final here, have you seen this airplane, Jackson? Other than, like, have you flown this one, the HD version?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you think it remakes it and fixes the problems with the old one?
Maybe in some parts.
I mean, it added it. I don't know if it added this or not. I think it did. You have a chance of stalling out the engines like the Starliner.
Hmm.
Oh. Alright, I'm a bit out of touch with the Goose and how it flies, but it's a little plane that, to be honest, the default version and this version both still have the same issue. You can frigging fly this thing, I think, 800 miles or more and still have fuel, and it's only supposed to have like an 800 mile range, I think. I'm forgetting, but this and the IceAI, well, plus the Latin VFR scenery, this is some really good stuff. I mean, granted, the only reason Jackson really loves it is Puerto Rico. He's finally got it fixed. Well,
Yeah,
not exactly.
It is better, a little bit better than Puerto Rico X.
Well, yeah, I was gonna correct myself and say it's pretty much what you wanted out of Puerto Rico, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's not, you know, like, oh, it's amazing, it's the best thing in the world. There are flaws. Like,
Of
of
course.
course, Jackson, there's flaws. I can't tell because I don't live here, but at least they, you know, did something.
Yeah, yeah.
It's better than nothing. It's like this Goose here. They did what they could, and they did their best. It's better. I mean, if this isn't, if they didn't have the source files, I believe they've had to remake this cockpit. I think they did, but supposedly, like we've found out, you have to have source files. Like you have to have the source model, otherwise you can't back convert. Now there was a way to do it, I believe, with that model converter thing you showed me,
Mm-hmm.
but Blender doesn't open it.
You.
I tried my best to get Blender to open it, and it wouldn't open it. It was just freaky, and I couldn't figure it out because I think I was back trying to put the Goose in or the Canada Air just to see if I could mess with it, but it wouldn't allow it. See, here's the sound glitch, folks. Our engines are not at this high RPM. So I'm moving the throttle, and it sounds like we're at full power. It's a simple cycling of the sound fixes it, but I recommend getting some better sounds for it. These are not that good. Manfred fixed it with the DC3, like his T47 model. I think he made sure to fix the sound cones because I don't know why, but default sounds on that airplane sound just fine. I think he tweaked them slightly,
Most probably.
but he's made them good. OzX, I don't know too much about the development team. I just know they build stuff like this. Like, I know Manfred, he's been doing it since FS 2004, and with the stuff him and his team build, I think it was common ground for him because, I mean, he pretty much built a working 2D supercharger gauge that translate it into 3D, which I'd still like to figure out what's causing the DC 7s and 6s to have that issue. But developers like this, we do need more of. Because, yes, payware is nice, and it's pretty, and it's shiny, but how about we get some freeware we can download, huh? Something that the average schmo can download and say, well, it's not as good as that guy's thing, but it's something, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, get some good... We don't need to say you get a good Cessna, because there's a... yeah, the default Cessna is subpar, but it's something at least. It's like a lot of the default stuff. The default DC3, though, now that Manfred's model's out, and they're working their darndest on a 3D vintage cockpit, supposedly. I haven't checked on it, but I know his KC97 is coming along swimmingly. Something to look forward to. And we will do a video on that as well, you know, cover it when it eventually comes out. Heck, if he makes a video making the cockpit vintage for the C-47, definitely cover that, because I kind of want a classic cockpit on that airplane. Yes, the new fancy one's nice, but I think Jackson didn't you make a comment on that cockpit once? Like it's too new.
Maybe, you know, if you're looking for a nice modern plane, but you don't really want to go that far, you could take the C-47, you know, because
Or the Super DC3.
it's or the Super DC-3 because you have the essence of the DC-3, but
Just it's got a new
yeah,
panel.
the cockpit and everything is just revamped.
Well, actually, I just thought of it. Think of it like the Lufthansa Technik Starliner cockpit.
Yeah.
They're putting her up to service par to get her as an actual airplane again. They're putting in new elements because they want to keep the legacy alive, which Manfred is clearly trying to do with his aircraft. Because who knows a KC-97? Who knows a C-97? Only the A2A buffs that fly the Stratocruiser, which not everybody can afford the money to pay for the Stratocruiser, or maybe they don't have the PC to run the Stratocruiser. I mean, Manfred's stuff is, well, I have to check his DC3s on a lower end PC because I've never ran him on a lower end PC, but his Starliner and stuff, Jackson will. You found like the middle ground to make the Starliner work beautifully on frame, right?
Mhm.
You gotta play with it. And yes, I'm beaching the aircraft to bring it up on land. That is something I wish someone would make a mod for in FS to fix that. Like add a small ramp under every bit of water or something on the shoreline. It's a minor nitpick. It's something that I wish could be fixed, but maybe Dovetail will fix it, because with them being allowed to work on Microsoft, we might see some good changes. And we're all hoping they allow us to purchase it on Steam. Or not purchase it, but redeem our codes, because everybody knows we're going to want to do that.
Yeah.
Because you get the Steam support, then the only problem is people spamming Steam. And I hope they fix the frame rate issue, because last time I ran FS with Steam on and Steam would pop up in the corner on a lower end PC, let's just say FS hated anything popping up in the corner. So if like that little description box comes up like Google Chrome or something, like speakers, USB and all that, or Skype contact logged online, the frame rate went. But here's hoping to a brighter future. And if you're a Goose fan, this is, as we put it throughout this whole thing, it's better than nothing, guys. I mean, of course, everybody that flies these things wants an AccuSim Goose or a PMDG Goose or something. We all know you want to see it as a payware developer doing a really good job to it, but you've got something right here. Have fun with it. Have fun with Latin VFR if you purchase it. IceAI is a free download. It will be provided. Go nuts. It's a flight sim world. You've got thousands of add-ons, thousands of texture mods, weather engines. The world is yours.
Possibilities are endless.
Go discover it. All links will be provided in the description.